Welcome back to New Day Northwest. With federal requirements changing, more than 300,000 people in Washington could be at risk for losing access to their Medicaid coverage. Joining us now to discuss what you need to know to maintain your coverage from UnitedHealthcare Community Plan of Washington, Chief Executive Officer Keith Payette and Chief Medical Officer Dr. Angie Sparks. We've been hearing a lot about how people in Medicare could be losing coverage. What can you tell us about that?
During the public health emergency for COVID-19, Medicaid coverage was put on hold for its usual process of renewals or redeterminations or checking eligibility. And that helped a lot of people who became eligible for Medicaid during the pandemic or who got coverage or had coverage to have their health care be continued and their coverage continued during that time. Now that the public health emergency is unwinding, many people who qualified for Medicaid benefits during the period might have had changes in their circumstances. They might have had income changes, address changes, family size changes, and that could impact their eligibility to stay covered under Apple Health Medicaid in Washington as these federal requirements are changing.
And you know, it's so important that folks maybe think, well, maybe I don't need it, but it is so important to maintain coverage, right?
Absolutely. Regular doctor visits, going to the pharmacy when you need health care, like there's an emergency, you want to be confident that you and your family have access to insurance coverage and confident that that coverage is up to date and will be there when you need it. Without coverage, it might mean that you miss an opportunity to do something important, like manage your chronic health conditions, get required vaccinations, routine vaccinations, or early detection of any new health conditions that might come up. And that could be negative for your health and your well-being. So really important that you check your eligibility.
1,000%. And those routine checks are so important. Speaking of the eligibility factor, Keith, what do people need to know about checking and renewing their eligibility for Medicaid coverage?
Yeah, so here's some quick points for you. First and foremost, make sure that your contact information is on file with the state Medicaid agency, which is the healthcare authority. Make sure it's correct, make sure it's updated, so that way you can receive benefit updates and any important paperwork that you may have to fill out. Also, with redetermination, you may get a request or renewal packet from the state if you haven't already gotten one. Make sure to answer all those questions thoroughly. Make sure that you answer those questions and return it within the time frame provided by the notification. So that way you can still get your Medicaid eligibility or have time to find additional options for coverage. And for those who may no longer be eligible for Medicaid, there are a number of other options and programs, including individual and family plans and coverages through your employer that you may be eligible for.
It is really hard to navigate all of this. Any common misconceptions that people may have when it comes to Medicaid?
Yeah, there are quite a few, but you know, one of the misconceptions is just how many individuals are actually on Medicaid and what does Medicaid do and support, right? For example, in the state of Washington, there are over 2 million individuals who are receiving Apple Health Care coverage today, right? It's also important to realize that Medicaid could be an option for you, even if you're working in school or turning 26, for example, and coming off your parents' insurance coverage. You know, as an organization, right, as a healthcare company, it's really important that there is that awareness, right, especially at this time, for example, going through redetermination and understanding what your coverage options are.
Yeah. You know, I think this is one of those situations where it is so helpful that we can help get out this information to folks, because it really is something that maybe people forgot that they had this access to this due to the pandemic. Any last minute thoughts from either of you about how folks can navigate this and what they should really be looking for?
Yeah, if those, you know, that are going through the redetermination process or have questions, make sure to go out and, check for additional information on the HCA website, which will be provided, or to contact them via their 1-855 number, and they'll be able to provide additional information and resources that can help you navigate, your next steps in terms of, maintaining or acquiring new healthcare coverage.
And for more on your Medicaid and information that you need, visit wahealthplanfinder.org. Plus, we've got more information on our website. Just go check it out.